we are going to look at application problems using Venn diagrams. So in this first particular problem, they are giving us the cardinal number of different sets and intersections of sets, and they're wanting us to fill in the Venn diagram. It is very important when you are doing this to always start in the very center where all three of your sets overlap. So that would be that region. And then when I look up here, they are telling me that there are a total of 18 different units, whatever this is related to, that are in the intersection of all three sets. So that number would go in the very center. Okay, so then next you're going to look at the intersection of two sets at a time. Doesn't matter which two you start with. I'll just start here. I'm looking at this region where that part of circle S is overlapping that part of circle Q. And if I look right up here, they're telling me that where Q and S intersect, there should be 25 elements in that intersection. Now, keep in mind, you already have 18 accounted for there. So you are missing 7 other because together, this is where you have the 25 elements. All right, next I'm going to look at where circle Q is overlapping R. So this region here where Q and R are overlapping. And if I look up here, they're telling me there should be 22 elements in that set. You already have 18 accounted for, so you are missing 4. And then finally, I'm going to look at where circle S is overlapping circle R. And according to this, where S and R intersect, there should be 22 total elements there as well. So I would be missing 4 since I already have these 18 plus the 4 would give me 22. Okay, so then the last thing that we look at are each individual set. Really doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start here with set S. And notice they tell me up here there are 39 total elements. So I need to first add up what I have. I have 18 plus the 7 is 25 plus 4 more would give me 29. And if I have a total of 39, that means I'm missing 10. Okay. Next, if I look at set Q, which is this entire circle here, they tell me that Q has a total of 32 elements. So let me first add up what I have. 18 plus 7 would be 25, plus 4 more would be 29. And so in this case, I'm missing 3 elements for a total of 32. And then finally, if I look at the circle that represents set R, they are telling me there are a total of 36 elements. If I add up what I already have, 18 plus 4 is 22, plus 4 more is 26. So if I have a total of 36, I'm missing 10 other elements. Now, the last thing is they tell us how many elements are in the total universal set. That means totally inside of this rectangle. So I'm going to add up all the numbers that I have and then see how many I'm missing out of the 64. So we're going to start up here. I've got a 3, and then I have plus 4 plus another 7. So let's add that up real quick. 7 plus 7 is 14. And then we come in the middle, we have plus a 18. So that would put me at 32. And then I have plus the 10 here, plus 4 there, plus 10 more. So if I add that up, I'm up to 56 total elements. So if I know there's a total of 64 in the universal set, and I have accounted for 56, then I am missing 8 other units. 56 plus 8 would give me the 64 total. Okay, on the second type of problem, they're telling me there are 40 students in the University Travel Club. So that means if I were to add up all these numbers in this Venn diagram, that adds up to 40. And it says it shows how many members have traveled to Germany, France, and Spain, And this particular question wants to know how many students have only or have been only to France. So if I'm looking at only France, that means they can't have gone to Germany or Spain. So I'm looking at there are 6. Okay, so if it's only to France, there are just 6. Now, had they said something like France and Spain, then I would be looking at where we overlap here. Or had they said something like only Germany, then I'm looking right here. Or maybe they said all 3, then I would be looking here. But in this case, they said only France, and that would be the part of the picture that is only France. And then finally, the last type of application problem, they're going to make you draw the Venn diagram and then answer a particular question. So we always start with a rectangle to represent our universal set. We know there are 135 freshmen in the universal set, so we'll know it has to add up to that in the end. And then we're going to look at students who took history, so we need one circle for history. Students who took math, and then students who took music. So I'm going to use MU for music, so we know the difference between math and music. And again, always start at the very center where all of your sets overlap. So you're actually got to go all the way down there. 5 took all 3, so 5 would go in the very center. Okay, then we're going to work our way out. So let's look at this region next where history overlaps math. So if we're looking for history and math, they did not tell us that, so let's go to another one. Let's look at where math and music overlap. So we're looking at this region here, and they told me that 11 took both math and music. So we already have 5. That means we're missing 6. Okay, and now let's look at where history and music overlap. And so they tell me 12 took history and music. We've already got 5, so that would mean we're missing 7 right there. Now, this other thing that they told me, instead of telling me what about history and math, they said 15 took history but not math. So if 15 took history but not math, then that means you are, let me get a highlighter, you are ignoring anything that is inside of the math circle. So you're going to ignore all those numbers that are not inside that circle. And so what you've got left has to add up to 15. So you'll notice that I already have 7 accounted for. And so if 15 altogether took history but not math, then that means there's 8 right there to account for those 15. Okay, so then we start looking at just the individual circles. So let's start with history. 32 took history. And if I look inside of my history circle, so this whole circle right here, I already have 8 plus 7 is 15, plus 5 would be 20. So I am missing 12 students. So 12 would have to be right there in order to add up to 32 total. Okay, so then they tell me that 37 took math. So if 37 took math, then when I look inside the math circle, I've got 12 plus 5, which is 17, plus 6 would give me 23. So I am missing 14, whoops, let me get a pen. I am missing 14 students who would have only taken math. 14 plus 12 would be 26, plus 11 would be 37. And then finally, last but not least, they are telling me that 36 took music. So if I'm looking inside of my music circle, I have 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 6 would be 18, and if I have 36 altogether, then there have to be 18 here. Now, the universal set has 135, so I'm going to add up the numbers I have inside of the circles. I really don't need to do that to answer my question, but I want to finish the Venn diagram. So 8 plus 12 would give me 20, plus 14 would be 34, and then 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 6 is 18, and then another 18. So if I add up what's inside there, I've got 70 total. So 135 freshmen minus the 70 I have accounted for leaves me with 65 that did not take history, math, or music. All right, so now to answer the questions, how many students took history and math but not music? So now they're asking me to knock out the music circle. So here is my music. So anything inside this red circle I'm not going to look at because it said not music, and then it said history and math. So I've got to look at what's left in terms of where history and math overlap, and that is where they're getting the answer of 12.